Greetings. Welcome to Biography. Life magazine, the week of June 25th, 1969. One of the big stories, the class of '69. The college seniors who continued their protests of Vietnam, racism, and the establishment right through graduation ceremonies. Among the seniors featured in the article, the student president of Wellesley College, Hillary Rodham. Well, no need to go to the 25th reunion to find out what happened to her. As the most controversial First Lady since Eleanor Roosevelt, Hillary Rodham Clinton has been criticized as much as she's been praised. She wields enormous power, more power than her critics feel she's entitled to. And even if she hadn't become First Lady, the achievements of Hillary Rodham Clinton would still classify her as one of the most important and influential women in America.
When I knew her as a young teenager, she was already a leader. She has been political since she was a tiny tot.
People either want to see her as, sort of a combination of Joan of Arc, Eleanor Roosevelt, and Betty Crocker, or they want to see her as, the dark angel.
Hillary believes that 12-year-olds should have the right to sue their parents.
I think in every pore of her body, every cell of her being, there was a purpose in life, and that was to make life better for other people.
She's clearly a very dominant, willful person who is going to have a major impact. I'd rather have that impact out in the open.
It's the same kind of an attack that was brought forward when Eleanor Roosevelt was speaking up for civil rights, and we really feel strongly that we've got to stand with Hillary Clinton.
She was voted most likely to succeed our senior year. I think that was a fairly good pick.
She's a very effective advocate for a point of view. Frankly, I wish she was a conservative and not a liberal.
Hillary Rodham Clinton, as First Lady, as legal rights activist, as policymaker, as wife and mother, she has always inspired powerful reactions. In 1992, she returned to her high school in suburban Illinois.
How did a nice Republican girl from Park Ridge go wrong?
Hillary Diane Rodham, well known for her liberal leanings, did indeed start out as a Republican. She and her two younger brothers, Hugh and Tony, grew up in Park Ridge, Illinois, a bedrock Republican community 20 minutes from downtown Chicago.
It was the epitome of the suburban middle-class community. And politically conservative, religion was very important, and everybody belonged to a church.
Hillary's parents, Hugh Rodham and Dorothy Howell, met when Hugh was a salesman at the Columbia Lace Company in Chicago. Dorothy was a secretary. They married in 1942. The Rodhams' first contribution to the post-war baby boom was Hillary, born October 26, 1947, at Chicago's Edgewater Hospital. Dorothy chose the name Hillary for her 8-pound, 8-ounce baby because she said it was a strong name, which suited either a boy or a girl. For the first 3 years, Hillary lived in downtown Chicago, but when her brother Hugh was born in 1950, the Rodham family fled the city for the suburbs.
There were trains that would roll through the Park Ridge station, and the men would get off the train with their newspaper under their arm and their hat. Everybody had a hat. Yeah, I don't think you could ride the train unless you had a hat.
It was an almost mythical place to grow up for me. My dad always had a rule. He said 5 days below zero we could go skating on the river. And that was a big event. They'd put a big bonfire together, and the adults would cook some hot buttered rum, and we'd have cocoa with marshmallows and spend a day out on the ice on the river and sledding and skating, and it was a lot of fun.
Park Ridge was the American dream for Hillary's father, who got through Penn State on a football scholarship. Descended from Welsh coal miners, Hugh Rodham was steadfastly conservative in his politics, his affections, and his spending.
He was notoriously tight with the dollar. He made you explain why you needed any of this extra money. And the work ethic was very much present in his life. He had worked very hard for what he had, and he believed this was part of growing up, was to learn to appreciate the squeak of a dollar.
Nor did he believe in paying, what he said, childhood extortion money, which he meant allowances. No, we never got an allowance.
He was, I think, the inventor of tough love.
Dorothy Rodham encouraged Hillary's passion for learning.
She had a very high value on education, and and I'm not talking about possessing a degree. I mean, she put a premium on learning.
Rick Ricketts had been a friend of Hillary's since 4th grade. He was also her first date. She asked him to a girls' choice dance.
We used to sit on the fence in front of our house and argue about just anything.
At Maine South High School, Hillary was involved in everything. She was a student council chair, a national merit finalist, a member of the Service Society. She even raised money to erase graffiti on a school wall. For a spoof in the school paper, she imagined herself a lawyer and said her ambition was to marry a senator and settle down in Georgetown. She was one of those kids you either loved or hated. She was so good at everything.
I think she's always had a keen sense of who she is and where she's going. And I can remember when we were in junior high, if you wanted to be nasty about someone, you could say this person was conceited, and whatever that meant at that time. But it was the ultimate put down. And what I think they took as conceit in Hillary was just a sense of confidence.
Minister Don Jones's mission was to expose Hillary and his Methodist youth group to the world outside the sheltered security of Park Ridge. The kids called it the University of Life.
It was exactly April 15th, 1962, Martin Luther King came to Chicago and was to preach at the Sunday Evening Club. It's an institution in Chicago where they invite famous preachers in to preach at Orchestra Hall in Chicago. And so I chose to take the youth group in on the night that Martin Luther King Jr. preached. I had arranged to go backstage after the service, and I stood next to him and introduced all of the youth as they filed by. And Hillary was 14, 15, and 16 years old in those years, and was later then to be shaped by all of the exploding, erupting forces of the late 60s.
Though the liberal seeds had been planted, Hillary remained a conservative like her father, campaigning as a Goldwater girl in '64. But in the fall of 1965, she ventured east to attend Wellesley College. There, those liberal seeds would take root. Don Jones received a letter from Hillary only a month after she got to college, saying she had invited a black classmate named Karen Williamson to go to church with her.
She said, I just got back from calling my parents. During the course of the conversation, I mentioned the young woman, Karen, and the church. I was so disappointed in my parents' reaction. My attitudes towards many things have changed in just 3 weeks. And I think I expected Park Ridge to have undergone a similar metamorphosis.
My sense is that she came to Wellesley in absolutely the optimum condition from the point of view of coming to another section of her life and another piece of an educational opportunity with virtually every pore open to be exposed to things she hadn't been exposed to before.
And she was learning off campus as well. She was visiting Park Ridge during the 1968 Democratic National Convention.
Both our mothers had said, under no circumstances are you to go downtown. So of course, I got the car, and where did we go? Downtown. And went down and saw this melee, you know, in Grant Park. People throwing things out of the Hilton Hotel. Police acting as we had never seen police acting. So it was, all of a sudden, Vietnam was a different situation for us. And so I think you take that naivete of nothing's going to touch us, and it touched us.